All right, what's going on, people? You already know the drill. JV wins, Dog on SS. We have returned for another edition of Conscious Approach on YouTube. Major shouts out to everybody checking us out, following along with us on the channel. As always, man, check us out on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can just download the podcast there. Just search us out, regular spelling. We are trying to be available in any and all places possible. And as always, as someone who does not subscribe to nearly 10% of the content that he consumes on a regular basis, I understand, or rather, we understand the value of your digital currency. It is indicative of the fact that you get some value out of the content that we deliver, which is the highest form of flattery. So if you are subscribed to the channel, just know that we do not take that for granted because it does take a tremendous amount of effort. And we do put a whole lot of stock into somebody, making the effort to actually click on the subscribe button. So we appreciate that, and we appreciate you very much. Other than that, y'all already know what the deal is. Y'all know how we like to rock and roll, man, each and every week. Kicking this cultural commentary, bringing this flavor to your ear. And we are going to go ahead and get things kicked off with some viral content at the hands of Enes Kanter. I believe the last time Enes Kanter was on the basketball court in the NBA was in 2025. I think that's the last time Enes Kanter was an active player. I'm not sure if he's officially retired or not. I'm not exactly sure about that. I want to say he did, but I'd have to fact check myself. I'm not totally sure whether Enes Kanter is retired, but Enes Kanter is politically outspoken. He often will unmute to talk about things going on in the world, most notably, Israel and Palestine and everything going on that side of the planet. And he has unmuted yet again to challenge the WNBA's rules, policies, guidelines. Whatever policy infrastructure the WNBA currently has in place when it comes to how one can identify as a woman so that you are therefore eligible to play in the WNBA as an active player. Now, so for anybody who follows along with what's going on with the WNBA, Sophie Cunningham, she's been catching a lot of heat because she would dare say that she doesn't think that a human being who was born assigned the sex of male at birth should be able to participate in women's sports. That is her opinion. She believes that if you were born biologically, genetically male, that you should be prohibited from participating in female sports. She says it discourages integrity of the outcome of sport and all of that good stuff, right? And apparently that's a controversial opinion. She often gets ridiculed online for maintaining that opinion. And of course, the WNBA does everything that it can to distance itself from that line of thinking because it wants to be all inclusive. So Enes Kanter, of course, is basically not necessarily, I don't think he's mocking it, but we'll play the video and we'll let you guys describe what you take from what he's doing. But he's put out a video in which he challenges the WNBA's current standard with this, basically saying that he is going to declare for the WNBA draft because of how he chooses to identify himself. And if the standard for what constitutes an active player in the WNBA is such that all you have to do is identify as such, then it should be no big deal for him to identify as such, become an active player in the WNBA, and so there you have it. A lot of people are criticizing him for this move. Other people are basically giving him credit for the direction that he is choosing to challenge this particular standard when it comes to the WNBA. So that is, of course, what we are going to broach here on Conscious Approach because we tend to like talking about stuff like this. So this says Enes Kanter Freedom declares for a 2027 WNBA draft to challenge trans athlete rules. Enes Kanter Freedom has declared himself eligible for the 2027 WNBA draft, framing the move as a challenge to the league's current eligibility policies regarding transgender athletes. The former NBA center announced his intentions in a post in a video posted to X on July 7th, saying he had reviewed the WNBA's guidelines before making the decision. The former Boston Celtics and Portland Trail Blazers center said he and his team had examined the league's eligibility framework before deciding to declare for the 2027 draft. Freedom insisted his announcement was not intended to mock or insult trans people. He added that he looks forward to seeing whether the league applies those standards equally, consistently, and without exception. The video quickly gained traction online, drawing millions of views within hours. Former NCAA swimmer Riley Gaines, who has become a prominent advocate for restricting transgender women from competing in women's sports, praised Freedom's announcement, calling it genius. Following Freedom's announcement, former NBA first-round pick Royce White also declared for the WNBA, claiming he now identifies as trans for the purpose of playing professional basketball. White told Fox News he believes he'd be unstoppable in the WNBA and suggested he could pursue legal action if denied an opportunity to play. Freedom and White's comments arrive amid renewed debate surrounding transgender participation in women's sports. The issue resurfaced after Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham recently told ESPN that biological men should not compete in women's sports, comments that sparked widespread discussion across the sports world. Freedom has voiced similar opinions before. During a 2023 appearance on Fox News, he questioned whether someone of his size could simply identify as a woman and compete in the WNBA, arguing that such a scenario would be unfair to female athletes. The WNBA has not publicly responded to Freedom's announcement. However, the Women's National Basketball Players Association released a statement Friday reaffirming its commitment to justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion, while adding that it would not allow itself to become political pawns. Okay, so here is Enes Kanter. Here's the video Enes Kanter posted in which he declares for the WNBA draft.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
Nice.
All right, yeah. So he's going to see us at training camp.
Nice.
All right. So what do you make of Mr. Kanter Freedom's position here about declaring for the WNBA draft?
Okay, that's Mrs. Kanter Freedom to you, sir. And I gotta tell you, I'm all about this. I'm all about the inclusive, diverse nature of the WNBA, and come one, come all. Why deny this man of his identity? Or are they being bigoted? So I would say that this young lady has a fair shot of not only being a top prospect, but arguably one of the top players in the league day one. So I support Enes Kanter and her endeavors, because listen, man, there was this French player that was going viral last week because they were declaring for the draft, or they wanted to be eligible for the WNBA. And you should have seen this guy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He's not like ripped, but he's ripped, man. He's not like, he clearly hasn't been taking any hormones. He doesn't care. He's just out there with a wig on or whatever the hell, and just bodying, the other ladies out there. And, I saw clips of this guy just, going coast to coast, not dunking on nobody, but, you know what I'm saying? Just bodying them up in the paint. And I was like, you know what? Let him rock out, or, let her rock out, hell, bring her on to the WNBA, because why not? You know what I'm saying? So then Enes Kanter came in with this. I'm for it. One thing that they might end up doing is, pumping the brakes on this, because they're going to say probably that this is some type of ploy. This is some type of, they're not seriously, which again is thin ice. It's thin ice that he's not serious about being transgender, but can you prove that? But he had a little smirk on his face, but he still was professional with it. So I was like, you know what? I could see there's a little smirk there, but it was well written. He delivered it well. I was all for it. And then here comes Royce White, 2K legend. Okay. Didn't really play, had a cup of coffee, all right, in the NBA. All right. And I'm not downing him for that, but here he comes. And then he says he's identifying for basketball. And it's like, no, bro, stop. Like, you're doing it wrong. You're supposed to identify as a woman. And then he came on Fox News wearing a wig and, all this other stuff. I'm embracing my feminine era, clearly being, ridiculous. And I'm like, hey, bro, you're messing it up. It's kind of like one of those things, man, where you got the momentum going. You got the momentum going. You got the room shifting. And here comes this guy coming in on the joke, you know what I'm saying? And just messing it up for everybody. So hopefully he's not, soiling the terrain here. But at the same time, I'm still for him getting in, because why not? Now, how does it work? Will there be some league collusion and nobody's going to draft them because they don't have to, all of that stuff. So I think it would ultimately, come to the bottom line of, maybe lawyers can get involved for them being discriminated against, because you're playing with this thin ice where you're going to either exclude this person who's clearly will be a top prospect. Okay. So why would you deny 35 and 20? You know what I'm saying? Why would you deny that?
Easily.
You know what I'm saying? So, hey, who knows, man? But I'm all for this. If they're all for trans athletes, what's her name? Gabby Williams was saying that she's all for trans athletes playing. She doesn't mind if they're on her team or she's playing against them. She stands with them. So are you going to stand with Enes Kanter? We'll find out about that. But what are your thoughts on Enes Kanter flipping the world on its head lately with his latest declaration of entering the WNBA draft? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I hope he gets drafted. And just to touch on Royce White real quick, I hear where you're coming from. Royce White kind of seems like the bad faith actor in this,
man.
Who's messing it up for the people who are challenging this stuff with some legitimacy.
Correct.
And then here comes this clown of a person who's just making a joke. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy's just a clown making a joke out of the whole thing when Enes is actually trying to make a point.
Right, right.
And look, man, I was unaware that the opinion that people performing in sports outside of the sex that they were assigned at birth, it kind of messes with the integrity of the outcome of the competition. Mm-hmm. Like, and therefore, because of that, I don't agree with it. I don't think that should be something that's allowed. I thought that was a reasonable opinion, but apparently that's a controversial opinion. I was unaware that is a controversial opinion. Not whether they should be allowed to live or have rights or be afforded decency, humanity, or otherwise be able to do whatever they want in a free society. But just specifically within the context of sports, believing that, if you're assigned a different sex at birth, competing in that sex on a especially professional sports level compromises the integrity of the outcome of the competition, which at the end of the day is the essence of competing in sports, is for us to strive towards an outcome competitively that is legitimate, right? I thought that was a reasonable take, but apparently it's not. Apparently that's a controversial opinion. And I'm assuming the individuals who believe that that's a controversial, even borderline offensive opinion are probably the same people who say, give everybody a trophy, give everybody a medal. Who cares? The results don't matter as long as everyone's having fun. I'm going to put my kids in leagues where they don't keep score. I would imagine I would imagine these are the same people. They have to be, because who embraces competition agrees with that. Like, I can't imagine a world where people who embrace the spirit of competition agree with that. So these must be the fairy tale, pie in the sky. Let's not keep score. Let's just have everybody learn about being cooperative and teamwork, but the outcome of the games don't really matter. It has to be the same crowd. This is absurd. But if there's one thing that Royce White is exemplifying, it's how chaotic this situation is. It's completely lacking in order, because we're living in a world where people don't want order. People just want to be able to do whatever they want. People don't want to live in a world where they have to be held to account for the decisions and the actions that they make. They just want to be able to do whatever they want because they simply are. Like, that's what this is. Like, never mind whatever consequences may come from a person saying, I should be able to do this simply because I said I am. Like, no one's thinking about those consequences. They're just saying, how dare you deny me the right to just do whatever I want? And there's responsibility that comes along with doing whatever you want. Like, that is a big responsibility. You can't just do whatever you want. There's always going to be consequences with that. And what Royce White, in my opinion, clownishly so, is exemplifying is the anarchic nature at which this is happening, which is people just basically saying, because I feel this way, regardless of the consequences, I should just be allowed to do whatever I want, go wherever I want, compete in whatever sport I want. And of course, that's a ridiculous, ludicrous world to live in, but it's the kind of world that people are looking for. So I actually think that both Royce White and Enes Kanter serve a purpose in this conversation, because Enes Kanter is bringing some, I don't want to use the word legitimacy, but lack of a better word, legitimacy to the discussion, because he's saying, if this is the standard that's to bear for this and I meet that standard, how can you deny me? You don't want to be looked at as a hypocrite because you're discriminating against me being allowed. That goes against everything that you pretell to stand for, right? And then here's Royce White making a joke out of the whole thing, because the whole thing in essence is a joke, in my opinion, because really at the end of the day, it isn't about freedom or people wanting to be able to compete in the sport that they desire to compete in. What it really is about, the essence of it, in my opinion, is people just being able to do whatever they want. And I think respectively, both of these guys are exemplifying either ends of that spectrum.
Yeah, man. Well said, bro. And there's this girl here, Lauren Betts. She played for UCLA, I want to say, and now she's playing for the Washington Mystics. Okay. And recently, I'm just doing my scrolling again within the past week or so, and I'm seeing that she got an ESPY. For what? I don't know. It's probably something, Finals Four or something, some type of award. I don't know what it was, but as she, and I say she lightly, is giving her speech. I'm sitting there, I'm like, what's going on here, man? And the whole energy around this individual's, how brave they are. how much courage it takes. They stand with her. It's like, why are y'all using this language? If this was just anybody else, are they calling Caitlin Clark brave? Are they saying all of these things, all of these weird things? Like, but with this athlete, they're doing that. It's that same kind of mysterious energy around Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner's out here getting married, divorced, got kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you having kids? I mean, I know how you could, I guess, all that other stuff, but what's going on here? And so I'm saying all this stuff to say is that they've already been doing this. The WNBA has already been doing this. They've already been allowing this. So why stop now? You know what I'm saying? Like, let Enes play. Let him get in there and mix it up. And if y'all so big and bad anyway, shut him down. Shut him down, man. Like, come on. So, listen, man, this is so ridiculous. And this is so ridiculous. How have we gotten this far? Oh, I can tell you how we've gotten this far, man. Everything that you talk about all the time, you bring up the social anarchy and all of these things that are going on where people don't want to follow rules, they just want to do whatever they want and all these other things, and they don't want boundaries and all that stuff. But this has been a systematic inception, placed on the population, and it's been subtle. It's been subtle. It was subtly creeping in. It started to get a little bit more aggressive in the 2010s and stuff like that. And now we're just full blown. It's not confusion, but they're trying to make it confusing. I've seen congressional hearings, and the congressperson, I asked the person, what's a woman, and it's a doctor, and the doctor is like, hey, I can't answer that.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to offend.
Yeah.
Who are you going to offend? And so this whole thing of, hey, the author of confusion, man, we all know who that is. All right. And if this whole premise is to destabilize humanity, it's meant to destabilize humanity, period, point blank, period. Because this whole conversation, the fact that we're even having this conversation is disturbing. Yeah, there's the, of course, this is a minority of the population that feels this way. This is a minority of the population that actually goes through this process. Okay. But they're making this a global issue that like everybody has to deal with it. Everybody has to. And it's like, well, no, we don't. This isn't that. But the thing is the inception is really taking its place with these young people. And, whenever I do see a comment in a comment section, whether it's a bot, it's either a bot or a kid that's saying, what difference does it make? Is it bothering you? Is it this? Is it, let them live their lives. All this crap. And it's like, okay, if you want to live in a world where everybody can just live their life, is it bothering you? All that other type of stuff. Eventually it will knock on your door. Eventually it will start to bother you. These type of conversations. So I would just say that, man, I feel like the majority of the population is against this. I feel like the majority of the population feels attacked. And most of the people that I see in the comment section about these situations with Kanter and Royce White, everybody's behind it. Everybody's behind them going up there. It's either you let them in or you discriminate against them. And last thing I'll say is, because I saw somebody actually being interviewed, that was, pro-trans. And they said, hey, I support trans athletes playing, blah, blah, blah. And then they brought up the Enes Kanter thing. And it was like, that person, she was like, well, I support him if he really means it, and maybe he can get in. What do you mean maybe he can get in? And if he means it, you don't go around with that guy that's just trying to go in a public bathroom or in a women's bathroom. You don't ask him if he really means it. You just automatically assume that he really feels that way. No, man, that guy transitioned last week. And he didn't do any operation. He didn't do any hormones. He just literally put on a dressing wig and said, I'm a woman because he wants to go in a woman's bathroom.
Yeah, I think therefore I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you're not questioning that guy. You're actually standing out and picketing and protesting for him to do that.
Right.
So why not do that for Enes Kanter and let him drop 35 and 20?
Which is exactly what Enes is doing. That's the point subtly of what Enes is doing. It's the I feel and think, therefore I am nature of this entire thing. Yeah, so if that's the burden to bear, then you shouldn't not let him in, lest you want to be looked at as a hypocrite for discriminating against it, because that's the standard. That's the standard that you established.
Yeah.
That's what you said for yourself.
So he's either got a lawsuit, or they're gonna let him play. You know, because if there's some type of thing where he doesn't get drafted or whatever, you can holler some type of collusion or discrimination. Or, you know, he's gonna have a case. So yeah, they got themselves in a bit of a pickle here. So it'll be interesting to see how they backpedal on this one. But you know, I feel like the WNBA have already allowed men in. You know, they just really cosplay well. And when I say well, it's really not well because you can clearly tell still. But they're all in on the cosplay. Well, no, let a 6'8" guy, 260 pounds with a full beard play, you know, because he still feels like he's a woman. You know, I want to see Dwayne Wade's take on this too, man. He's been kind of quiet in the midst of all of this. So, but yeah, man, I'm here for it. And I'm also completely against the psyop that this whole entire operation has been. People, this is really not a hot button on regular, you know, on everyday people's lists. We can care less about this. It's when it starts to become invasive. It's when it becomes a problem. And the WNBA has made this a hot button issue on their own. So, you know, they've welcomed this. So I'm all here for it, and I hope they let them in.
Yeah, principally, of course, I hate it. I'm against it as well. And again, I don't know at what point in the world that this became controversial, but to your point about the psyop, that's the point when it does become controversial, when you're placed into a situation in which you have to reevaluate what is otherwise a reasonable point of view, because even a reasonable point of view becomes controversial. As somebody who grew up playing sports his entire life, my sister played basketball. I have women in my family who play sports. Mm-hmm. They competed against other women. I competed against men. You want to maintain the spirit of competition. Like that's the essence of sports, is being able to determine through competition who the winner is. That becomes compromised when there's no uniform standard of who the participants are. I don't understand why that's offensive, but we are currently living in a world in which that's an offensive way to look at it. It's discriminatory, bigoted, hate, whatever word you want to use, transphobic. Like, I guess that's just the way that this is boiled down to, and it's ridiculous. But I will say this: in my estimation, there's a solution to this. Now, how feasible it is to implement this solution, I don't know. Something tells me that it would be extraordinarily expensive and impractical to implement such a solution. But as far as I can tell, it's really the only one that exists. And that is, you have to create a trans division. That's the only thing that you can do. So there's, you know, let's look at tennis, for example. You got men's tennis, you got women's tennis, and then you got trans tennis. And now at Wimbledon, the trans tennis players go against each other. But
really?
That's the only way it can work. That's the only way that it can feasibly make sense to me. But even then,
I thought they was already doing that. I'm like, what?
Well, not officially. Not officially, they're not. Just like the WNBA isn't officially doing it, even though they are, right? Mm-hmm. But it's just like, that's the only way to feasibly make it work. But even within that context, you're going to have to create subdivisions because, for example, you can't have the trans men competing against the trans women. That's still not inherently fair, because you're going to have people who are born biologically male at birth competing against other humans who were born biologically female at birth. even though they may have transitioned to whatever the hell, the spirit of the outcome of that competition is still in doubt because it's not uniform. There's still a bunch of cross-pollination going on with the participants.
Mhm.
So you would have to create a situation in which there's a trans division within all these sports, and within the trans division, it's this one identity going against the other of the similar identity, and those athletes compete against one another. So if it's tennis people, if it's golf, I don't care what it is. I don't know how you would figure this out in team sports. Like, this is easier to do in individual sports. But in individual sports, just have like, okay, this person identifies as transgender. Okay, they were male at birth. All the males at birth, they compete against each other, and the winner wins that thing. And then in the trans division, all of the humans who are female at birth, they compete against one another. That way you can have your whole sense of belonging, whereas a trans athlete, you still get to compete on a professional level, but you're not polluting the sanctity of competition. But otherwise, all of this is just polluting the sanctity of competition. And again, I don't get why that's controversial, but it has become as such. And I think Enes Kanter and even Royce White, to a lesser degree, are pointing out how absurd the offensive nature of what is otherwise a reasonable opinion has become.
Yep. And last thing I'll say, man, and the thin ice again that this whole conversation raises is when the people question Enes Kanter or Royce White on, hey man, I don't think you really think you're trans. I think you're lying. You can't project that on him or her now. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that to them. You know, because at that point now you're being the bigot. You know, so and this is the danger of playing with words like this. And when you have this whole psychological game that's being played with words, because, and this is the thing, man, people think that, you know, there's power in words. Words literally shape people's consciousness. And the whole psyop behind call this man a she, or what is a woman, and even when you participate in somebody that don't believe in that, even when you're doing that, you're doing some type of course correction, rewiring in your own brain. It's, to me, it's just spell casting. And so, and by the way, casting spells literally means, so it literally means to spell, just to spell something out. And spells are anything that change your consciousness. If you came in thinking one thing and you read something and now you think something else, you have read a spell. And so this whole operation of these people telling me that, hey, call that guy a she because he's wearing a dress now, you know, and then,
it's not even that anymore. It's just because that's how they feel about it.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to be wearing a dress. It's just they think, therefore they are, and you are obligated to acknowledge that.
They non-binary now.
Yeah.
And all this other stuff. Yeah, I saw this guy filling out an online application. It was like, and it was asking him what his orientation was. And he said, hell, I don't know. I'm gonna put that I'd rather not disclose. You better not. You better not. You better say you non-binary queer person. Because that's who's going to get hired. And this is the game. This is the game that's going on right now, man. So, yeah, man, all of this stuff, man, I don't care for it. I don't care for these word games. I feel like some part of this is somewhere in the 1984 book. And here it is coming to fruition right now, just playing with people's minds, man. So if there's anybody out there trying to reclaim that and being bold and brave enough, like Enes Kanter, I stand behind that person, man. These are the type of trans athletes I support. So yeah, man, shout out to Enes Kanter and Royce White, man. You guys are doing God's work, if you ask me, man. I appreciate it.
It's going to be very interesting to continue to watch how this unfolds, because yeah, if you are an ally, I mean, yeah, you can sit there and mock him all you want and call him out for being, you know, someone who's making a mockery of it all, but at the end of the day, like the WNBA established the standard. If he is consistent with the standard, nothing's stopping him other than you being bigoted enough to discriminate against him being in there. And there goes that word, right? There goes that word. So y'all been throwing that word around at other people for the longest, and now it's coming back to you. You either gonna have to, be consistent with what that's about, or acknowledge that there are or acknowledge that there are some holes in your ideology.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's one or the other, but you can't have both. That's for sure.
Mm-mm-mm.
We move on to Kawhi Leonard, Kawhi Leonard is looking like the fraud of the generation in the NBA. Like, I don't know where we got to this point, man. I thought that this was a guy who just wanted to play basketball and be left alone. Apparently, he wanted to play basketball, be left alone, and cheat the system for as much as he can to make as much money as he possibly could. But apparently, Kawhi Leonard, it wasn't just the tree company that was paying him a phony endorsement so that he can earn more money annually beyond what will be allowed to him via the NBA salary cap. There was apparently another deal on top of the tree company deal. So there were multiple companies paying him a no-show sponsorship deal so that his annual earnings can be enough to satiate whatever his desire for whatever he wanted to make was, and not be inhibited by what the salary cap could afford him. And this has put a halt on his trade to the Raptors. The Clippers were in the midst of trading him to the Raptors. The NBA put a pause on that as it continues to investigate this situation. And they're saying that this investigation can go well into 2027 as they continue to unearth more about these sponsorship deals that were apparently meant to circumvent the salary cap so that Kawhi Leonard can earn whatever he wanted, even though his actual NBA salary capped what he could possibly make. This is something that is illegal according to NBA bylaws. So this says Kawhi Leonard reportedly had another undisclosed sponsorship deal. The NBA's investigation into Kawhi Leonard just got another multi-million-dollar wrinkle. According to ESPN, Leonard reportedly had a previously undisclosed sponsorship agreement with Daktronics, the company behind the massive Halo board inside the Clippers' $2 billion Intuit Dome. More significantly, one source alleged the arrangement was another avenue for getting money from the Clippers to Leonard outside his NBA contract. An anonymous high-level source working under contract for Intuit Dome didn't mince words when speaking with Torre. It was 1,000% a way to circumvent the salary cap. It was funneling money from the Clippers through Daktronics back to Kawhi. An anonymous former Clippers official separately said that they were aware Kawhi Leonard had an endorsement agreement with Daktronics. How much Leonard allegedly received, when the deal began, and what he was expected to do in return remain unclear. Daktronics, meanwhile, isn't saying much. A representative told Hunter Brook Media that Leonard does not currently have a contract with the company, while declining to discuss the reported previous arrangement in detail. I don't know what the company wants to say or can say given the Watchell investigation and all that the spokesperson said. The revelation may also answer one of the bigger questions surrounding the NBA's expanding investigation. The Athletic reported in July that Watchell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz, the outside law firm conducting the league's inquiry, was examining another previously unreported Leonard endorsement in addition to expenses allegedly covered by the Clippers without reimbursement. Until now, most of the scrutiny centered on Leonard's $28 million endorsement deal with Aspiration. Clippers owner Steve Ballmer invested millions in the green banking company in 2021. The same year, Aspiration landed a 23-year, $300 million sponsorship agreement with the franchise. 6 months later, Aspiration signed Leonard. The Clippers have repeatedly denied using Aspiration to circumvent the salary cap. Ballmer has maintained that the organization merely introduced Leonard's representatives to the company before stepping away from negotiations. He also said he ultimately lost $60 million in Aspiration and was flagrantly defrauded. Company co-founder Joseph Sandberg was sentenced to 14 years in federal prison in June for defrauding investors and lenders. So that's pretty much the gist of it, man. It's looking like Daktronics may also be right there in line with aspiration for being a middleman that served the Clippers with funneling money to Kawhi that was outside the salary cap. So for anybody who might be saying, what's the big deal? Players can get endorsement deals that are away from their contracts. That is true, but they cannot be at the behest of the team they play for. Otherwise, every organization would be doing that. So it isn't that Kawhi Leonard had endorsement deals. It was that these endorsement deals were operated by the Clippers themselves. So it was like the Clippers were creating an artificial additional revenue stream so that they can pay Kawhi Leonard, therefore not being hampered completely by the salary cap in terms of what they themselves could pay him. So what do you make of this latest development with Daktronics and Kawhi Leonard?
Yeah, man, this is this whole situation is interesting because Kawhi is made to seem like the villain here. You've seen Kawhi Leonard. This guy's no mastermind. And I don't mean that to be insulting. I mean, he's no mastermind. I'll take him for somebody that's going, oh, okay, y'all want to do that? Yeah, we'll do this over here. We'll move money over there. We got this company over here, and then we'll pay you this much. And he's like, okay. And that's as far as Kawhi Leonard went in my mind. So he's no master. He's got agents here. Okay. He's got, CEOs. He's got all of these people. He's got all of these billionaires around him that said, hey, man, we want you here by any means. We'll do this over here. We'll do this over there. We'll move this over around over here, and you'll get additional X amount of $1 million. And Kawhi was like, okay, and that's it. This dude that's investigating them and making it seem like Kawhi is out here, running some type of rink. You know what I'm saying? Like he's out here really he's doing white collar crime. He's not, So I'm not trying to excuse him because I know he knew what was going on. He may not have known the extent of it, of whose hands were shaking what. And it was like, hey, man, since you did get the contract, you do have to show up to this ribbon cutting thing, or you do have to. So he was aware of what was going on, but he's not the mastermind of it. He just plays basketball. And so, of course, and we covered it here, where Steve Ballmer was, saying that I'm the one that's got frauded here. I'm the one. You don't mess with people who are billionaires. He's a You think he's going to prison? These billionaires, they're professional money launderers. Professionals. They're professional white collar criminals, allegedly. Okay. So they're not going to get in trouble for it. It'll be a black eye on them, on the organization, but he's not going to take the fall. This guy that's doing 14 years is the guy that's going to get the fall. So, the part about this that's very interesting is that Kawhi Leonard is the bad guy. He's the person being demonized in all of this, when he is literally just a pawn in the game of people out there literally playing Monopoly. And they just moving stuff over here, paid the banker off over there, and they just wanted this hotel on this property. That's it. And literally, Kawhi is just one of the hotels on a property. And so it didn't plan out the way that they wanted to. I mean, he was milking them just like he milked everybody else. Okay, he sat out. He didn't play. Soft tissue. You know what I'm saying? Load management. All of that stuff, man. So, the investment didn't come back. And heads had to roll. So, hey, look, man, it's a funny conversation to me. Should Kawhi have done it? No. Was Kawhi the only person to ever do this? No.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the only person to do this in sports? No. And in the NBA, I mean, no. This goes on replete, I believe. Come on, man. You think LeBron's literally playing for vet minimum? Yeah, I'm not accusing him, but it's like, let's be serious here. He can afford to do that, but you think he is? Tom Brady was taking pay cuts because his wife's a billionaire. You think he really had to? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many cases out there where people could be getting money under the table. So, for whatever reason, Kawhi got exposed. Again, I'm not making excuses for him or any of these other people. All I'm saying is that, it's funny how that, Kawhi is just the guy taking the fall for all of this. But everybody else that's involved, everybody that was paying him, is pretty much going off scot-free for the most part. Their names aren't getting drugged through the mud. Maybe it's because it doesn't have enough notoriety. Who knows? But all in all, I think that this is just how business goes in America. People are surprised to see it go down with athletes, but this is the first one we've heard about. But what are your thoughts, man, on Kawhi Leonard yet again getting exposed for yet another shell company paying him for absolutely nothing? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, Steve Ballmer would be under way more trouble if he was caught on a voicemail recording calling Kawhi Leonard a monkey. Mm-hmm. Like, if that were to happen, we'd be looking at a situation where Ballmer would be forced to sell the team. Mm-hmm. My point in saying that is, like, in this particular, in this particular version of America where money and resources is king, white collar criminal activity or any sort of white collar illegalities aren't really going to get you more than a slap on the wrist, in my opinion, in comparison to other things that just enrage the public, like the revelation that you have or are at one point, been or might still be, like a racist, right? Mm-hmm. So, like I said, man, if Steve Ballmer were caught on a recording saying something racial about Kawhi Leonard or any of his players, then it would be like a DEFCON 5, and we'd be trying to get him out of there. But stuff like this, where you're actually compromising the integrity of the entire sport, which to me is more damaging than maintaining racist attitudes, he's going to get nothing more than a slap on the wrist. And mind you, a slap on the wrist is what? $100 million. It can be a $50 million fine. To him, that's a slap on the wrist because he's one of the wealthiest people in the world. He's certainly the richest owner in the NBA, and he is like top 5 richest owners in all of professional sports in America. He's up there. Like, he caked up that like that. Like, he has NFL owner money type stuff. Mm-hmm. So nothing is slowing down this momentum. And I really do believe that the only reason why this story has the legs that it has is because these other organizations who are doing the exact same thing but haven't gotten caught are shaking in their boots because they're wondering whether the result of this can quiet the noise around these types of things enough that no one like Pablo Torre is going to go around snooping to figure out who else is doing it. Mm-hmm. But if this doesn't go away loudly enough, and if principal individuals involved aren't punished severely enough, it's not going to stop people like Torre from looking into who else is doing it. And I think that's what has the rest of the league a little nervous, because I, like you, also believe not every other team, a lot of other teams are doing this because the salary cap is fugazi. Like the salary cap is meant to institute parity and some sort of form of fairness, yet it's never done that and it never will. Mm-hmm. Organizations and teams are always going to figure out ways to get the best players to sign, to figure out how to creatively find money to sign whoever they want. The salary cap is fugazi. They need to just get rid of it. It doesn't work. Like, there's this fear that the salary cap is going to adversely penalize small market teams and all of this other stuff. They're just in fear, paralyzed by the idea that the league isn't fair. Well, the league isn't fair now.
It isn't.
And it hasn't been. Like, the existence of the salary cap is not going to make a player want to play in Milwaukee when they can go play in New York or LA. Like, the salary cap doesn't fix that. You're not going to fix that. some players are going to take the super max because they see that check, but other players care about lifestyle and all of that other stuff just as much, if not more. Salary cap doesn't fix any of that. So, they really need to get rid of it, because all it's doing is just strangling the lifeblood out of the NBA, in my opinion. Like, it's hampering them. But it's not, and the league, these organizations know that, and that's why they're so quick to buck it. They don't care about it. They'll circumvent it any chance they get. So I kind of feel like this is an existential threat towards the rest of the organizations who might be doing the exact same thing, because they're saying to themselves, if they don't lay the hammer down on the result of this as much as they can, and other people go snooping around, we might be next. And I think that's really what has them freaking out about it. And I think that's what's generating the majority of the interest in the outcome of this particular situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And, I think personally, I think the salary cap I think they need to do something about it. I think it does kind of rein some things in, but much like in any other sport, well, let's say like baseball, for instance, the Yankees are always in position. The Red Sox, they be in position. The Dodgers are in position like that. But those are organizations that care.
Exactly.
And so in the NBA, it's the same thing. There's organizations that care, and there's just other organizations that are just existing.
Exactly.
Same thing going on in the NFL, where there's organizations that actually care about what they're doing, and they're actually trying to win. And there's other people out there that's just trying to sell season tickets. And so you're not going to, the salary cap in and of itself isn't going to create the competitive balance. So that I agree with. But at the same time, I do want to see a star over here and a star over there, because they can't afford 5 of them, because one thing about the Yankees is like, all right, bro, like, dish some of this out, man. You know what I'm saying? You got this guy, you got that guy. The Dodgers, come on, bro. You got this dude, that dude, and the other dude. You got the dude playing pitcher and outfield and first base and this and that. Like, come on, man. They got the whole damn thing. And it's like, this isn't fun technically, But again, if, let's say, sorry, Kansas City, but let's say the Kansas City Royals actually got, Ohtani, but just by himself, that's not going to change that franchise. You think it would, but him by himself is not going to change everything.
But the moment that he becomes a free agent, he's out of there. And the moment that he gets tired of the losing, he's going to demand a trade.
Like, he's going to go to the bigger market that actually.
Yeah, one of those things is an inevitability. That's why I don't see the point of a salary cap, because that's always what ends up happening. I think what you said is right on the money, and salary caps don't legislate that. Like, salary caps cannot legislate desire. They don't legislate they don't legislate caring. So Oklahoma City is not a big market. It's not, but they actually care. They invest in scouts. They invest in a GM who actually knows what he's doing and cares. And so what you have as a result is an organization that, despite being small market, competes year after year because they care and they try. So you hit it right on the head. And I don't see the salary cap as something that controls that, because the Wizards have been horrible my whole life. I'm 40. The Wizards have never been good. And the salary cap has existed since before I was born, and it hasn't helped the Wizards be better. So all you're doing with the creation of all of this, apron this, salary cap that, super max, second apron, all of this other stuff, incentives for players who re-sign with the team that they're on, like, it's meant to create parity, but all you're doing is creating more avenues for people to cheat, in my opinion. And so, like, the Clippers doing this, I really don't even look at the Clippers no type of way. I honestly don't. Because it's just like, bro, this guy has billions upon billions of dollars and he wants to win games.
Right.
So what do you want him to do? Just fall in line with these dumbass rules and just let other teams who have more and better resources continue to win at a higher level than him, even though he has more money? All these people know how to do is throw money at all their problems anyway.
That's true.
So I never bought the salary cap. I never did, because my entire life I've only seen the same teams be good, and every team that's always bad stays bad. Even if they get number 1 overall picks, it doesn't matter. They still suck.
That's true. That's true. Not just number 1 overall picks. I mean, sometimes they have like 2 lottery picks and and 3 overall first round picks, and they're still dog water. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, that's true, man. So I probably have to work out some of that, because I'm just in the I got some cognitive dissonance here, man. I'm like, what do you mean no salary cap? But like I said, I've seen historically my whole life, and the Wizards is a great example. Charlotte Hornets to a degree as well, of just perpetually losing. And that's why I feel like those organizations in a large portion is just money laundering, if you ask me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money that is billions of dollars. When you're talking TV deals, tickets, all this other stuff that gets funneled through these operations. And I know something's getting washed in the middle of all of this. And these owners are just running these things. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's some type of, tax break, weird things that's going on. And it's not about sports at all with these organizations. So that I agree with. So yeah, I might have to revisit that in my brain. But overall, man, yeah, man, I personally don't see anything wrong it wasn't legal and things, and it was against the league rules and all this other stuff, but I personally don't care. And that's the part about this where I don't think anybody really cares. I think people think that it's messy, but and it's circulating the news, and I think people just point and stare and haha, that's crazy. But I don't think anybody really cares about any of this. It's just outrageous and salacious. But for the most part, it's not anything that grossly offends people. Me personally, like I said on my initial point there, Kawhi was just going, "Oh, y'all gonna do that?
Yeah,
y'all can do that." And Ballmer's like, "Hell yeah, I do it all the time with my hedge fund and my life insurance. Just move it over here. I got Bill over there." And then I was like, "Okay." You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's it. So I personally, for the most part, don't blame Kawhi. But at the same time, man, you just gotta have you gotta have people on your team and in your corner. Somebody that's gonna say, "Hey, man, I don't think that's cool. Just go ahead and sign with Milwaukee, or go ahead and sign over here, or whatever." So I think this is just a life lesson for other people, man. And honestly, man, if you got something going on in your personal life, who knows? The day may come where people are going, "Hey, man, I can just move this over here. Put this over here in this account." I do it all the time. And it's like, yeah. But I'm going to be the fall guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be the fall guy, because the people over here, the people over there, and I'm the dunce that said yes to you. So I think all of this is just a valuable lesson for everybody out there, man. All money ain't good money. And, Kawhi is making millions of dollars per season. And I'm pretty sure he didn't really need that extra for all of this trouble he's got himself into. So, it's never worth it. I will say that that's my takeaway from all of this.
Yeah, I definitely hear that for sure. Mm-hmm. But there's the aspect of it where it's like the rules were broken. Okay, fine, I get that. But there's a larger aspect of it for me where it's like, okay, well, what are the rules and how much sense do they make?
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? And I've been paying attention to this stuff for long enough to know the salary cap doesn't really do what it's intended to do, in my estimation. And the salary cap and the existence of it is the reason why there is this situation even took place it's the reason why we're even talking about this, because it was an attempt to get around it. But I don't know, what does the salary cap actually solve? I don't know. I still don't know.
Fair question.
And speaking of dunces in the NBA, we move on to Michael Porter Jr., who Michael Porter Jr. attended the all-white Michael Rubin July 4th celebrity-filled extravaganza up in New York this year. And he's lamenting his experience while there, saying that, while he was in attendance at this thing, he ran into five exes at the Michael Rubin white party. 5, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 exes at the Michael Rubin all white party. Michael Porter Jr. says he ran into 5 exes at Michael Rubin's white party. Hectic. Michael Porter Jr. apparently found himself cornered at one of the summer's biggest celebrity gatherings. The Brooklyn Nets forward revealed on the July 28th episode of the Girls Disrupted podcast that 5 of his former girlfriends were all present at Michael Rubin's 2026 all-white party in Bridgehampton, New York over 4th of July weekend. I have 5 of my exes at Rubin's all-white party, Porter said around the 4-minute, 25-second mark in the video below. It was hectic in there for me. At the same venue is crazy. I had to navigate a lot that night, but I decided to do my thing and stay out of the way. He did not name any of the 5 women. Porter also told the podcast he is done with situationships. The annual Rubin's annual party featured performances by Alicia Keys and Cardi B and drew a star-studded crowd. Among those confirmed in attendance were Drake, Kim Kardashian, and Ice Spice. Porter was publicly linked to Ice Spice earlier this year. The two were spotted together at a Manhattan nightclub on January 5th, arriving around 11:30 p.m. and leaving around 2 a.m. A witness told Page Six at the time the pair were definitely close, chatting in each other's ear, and she had her arms around him. He previously dated former Disney Channel actress Madison Pettis from 2016 through mid-2017. The two met after Pettis reached out to him following a birthday shout-out Steph Curry gave Porter on Instagram. In March, Pettis appeared on the In Your Dreams with Owen Thiel podcast and, without naming Porter directly, called her ex a psychopath and said she ended things before he entered the league. Porter fired back in May 2026 on the One Night with Steiny podcast. That was crazy. I wasn't feeling that at all because, bro, we dated for 3 months and nothing happened. He added, I don't know why 10 years later she's getting on a podcast talking about he's a psychopath. She's scaring all the Johns away. He referred to Pettis during the same appearance as what's her name. Porter, who won an NBA championship with the Nuggets in 2023, was traded to Brooklyn in June 2025. So what do you make of Michael Porter Jr. saying that at Michael Rubin's all-white party, he ran into 5 of his exes, all who were in attendance there at the same time?
You know, this guy, man. This is a Michael Porter Jr. story. And you know, he's going to tell this story in the perpetuity, man. He's going to share this with his grandkids one day that, I was at the Rubin party and I ran into, and it's like, bro, big whoop. You know what I'm saying? Big deal. But, you know, they were name dropping in that article. He's dealing with celebs, but I'm sure there was also some bottle girls and some tricks in there that he was spending money on from Instagram scrolling or whatever. And he's calling these girls exes when they were really just whatever things.
Rentals.
Yeah, man. Like they're not real girlfriends. Like you weren't actually sharing feelings with these girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even at some point where you may have gotten attached a little bit, you know what I'm saying? It was just a transaction for them. So it wasn't any genuine connections there. So, X is very loosely used. But yeah, man, this guy's living a life, man. You can clearly tell this guy listens to Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like this is right up his alley, man. So I guess it's a flex for him, you know what I'm saying? Dealing with ex-Disney stars and, leaving the club with Ice Spice. I'm not hating on him, man. He's just living that life. So why wouldn't you run into, all of these charlatans at a Rubin party? I mean, clearly what happens is you're in a circle with all of these people that keep going to these same type of things, and you're dating these girls, or, in air quotes, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what they said his contract is now, man. But even when he was in Denver, man, the millions is on deck, tens of millions. Like he's got guap. So it's nothing for him to do the protocol for what these NBA players do as far as dropping a bag on them and doing all this and doing all of that. So I'm not throwing shade at him. I'm not mad at him. He's a young person living his young man life. But to get on a podcast and say it as though it was a flex, and I ran into 5 of my exes and I had to navigate. You didn't have to navigate anything, man. You know what I'm saying? If anything, it was just probably asking you for money or whatever, or you know what I'm saying, or whatever, bro. But trust me, bro, it was no pressure, because guess what? Those 5 girls, okay, you weren't the only guy that they slept with at that party.
Bingo.
You know what I'm saying? So everybody was navigating everybody in there.
Bingo. That's right.
Yeah, man. So this whole story it's an odd flex, and it's trying, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying, man. Some elements of this got Drake written all over it, bro. Where it's just like, yeah, man, where it's just like, woe is me. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not a woe is you moment, bro. And it's not like something I'm gonna big you up for and dap you up. Oh, stamp, you had 5 girls at the room. I can care less, dude. But of course, this is an MPJ story, man. So I am not surprised, bro. But what are your thoughts, man? You would think he was a ball brother. You know what I'm saying? I'm not surprised by any of it. He carries himself like LaMelo and them too.
Yeah, he's not that far. Yeah, he doesn't. His apple doesn't fall far from that tree.
Oh, man. But what are your thoughts, man, on Michael Porter Jr. having to navigate through in the Rubin party of all places, dodging all of his exes? What are your thoughts, bro?
You hit the nail on the head when you talked about the likelihood that those women have been involved with other guys who were also at that party. Mm-hmm. I think you hit the nail right on the head. And, it's unfortunate, man. Our current culture looks at NBA players as the highest on the totem pole. There's this word that gets thrown around all the time, value. This has become a buzzword, especially with respect to the dating and relationship online discourse. Value is one of those words that gets thrown around. It's a buzzword. And we've lost the plot on what that word even means. The way that word is used today, it's merely used to describe a man who has money. But the word value is actually the word value is supposed to mean something a little more substantive than that. It's supposed to include other things on top of it. And I referenced Kevin Samuel's rubric before, where he's like, it's not just the money you make. It's got to be how long you sustain the money, whether you have a network of other peers, and whether you came into it fast or whether you had to slow grow it through your own ingenuity over an extended period of time, right? So Kevin Samuels had his rubric oftentimes for what constitutes a man of value. And he would often bring up that rubric when talking to misguided women who perceived the word value to merely mean man who has a lot of money. And you look at a guy like Michael Porter Jr., who has a very large NBA contract. And then, of course, he has the social cachet of being a rather prominent NBA player. And the word value gets attached to an individual like him, when in reality, he retains the lowest possible value imaginable, in my opinion, because he, in my estimation, lowers himself to consorting with women that are frequently shared by other men. And that, to me, is the lowest possible vibrational set that you can occupy as a man. And I agree with you as well when you say he's taught. I'm pretty sure he did mean that as a flex. If you go and you actually watch the video, I didn't take the time to scroll to the point where he made that comment. Plus, I also don't know where that particular show is, so I don't know if you'll get flagged for having their stuff on your thing. But when he described the situation, he described it as a way to say, bro, like, my body count is so expensive out here in these streets. Look at what happened to me at the Rubin party.
Right.
I ran into 5 of my exes. Clearly, it's meant to be something that others are meant to glean as impressive. But the thing about it is, if you ran into 5 exes at one time at this thing, I find it hard to believe that you didn't previously know that these were the types of individuals that roll in industry settings like this.
Correct.
And if they roll in industry settings like this, they've rolled in industry settings like that before. And if they've rolled in industry settings like that before, I find it highly unlikely you don't know about that.
Right.
And I also find it highly unlikely that you aren't aware of the various other individuals that they may have been involved with by the virtue of the mere fact that they run routinely in industry circles.
Mhm.
So I don't want to now on the back end hear someone such as he talk about what he's done with, and he's not doing situationships anymore, and it was a crazy situation to navigate, making it seem like he was in a compromised situation and that he was somehow this weird victim indirectly. I'm just over it with these guys. Like, no, you made this bed and now you get to sleep in it. And you are someone who willfully, pridefully, knowingly deals with those kinds of women who are going to show up at other industry events that you show up with, because all of y'all are very comfortable sharing women. I think the book is out on that, and so it's past time that we stop paying attention to these kinds of comments as anything other than grandstanding and just sort of drinking your own Kool-Aid and engaging in delusions of grandeur. Like, this guy knows that he likes to share women with other men. He doesn't mind it, and he'll probably continue to do it, as will the rest of these dudes. The only unfortunate thing about this entire ongoing conversation is the fact that despite all of this, these guys are still identified as men of value, because in my opinion, they are just men with a lot of money. And that does not mean the same thing as being a man of value.
Yeah, man. Well said, bro. So, yeah, man. And again, I don't want this to be misconstrued as hate, because if I was, because I was outside when I was his age. And if I was outside with $100 million, I wouldn't be caught at no Reuben party, though. I can tell you that. He ain't hugging me from behind. All
Maybe,
right?
but I mean, would you be the same person though? Because if you were but I'm saying if you were $100 million professional athlete though, you might be getting hugged by Reuben, because you would have. I'm just saying you would have grown up in that world. Like, you got to put yourself into the mind of your alternate reality self.
I'm in there, bro. I'm over there. Ain't no man grabbing me from behind. You know what I'm saying? Talking about some hugs. Hell no. I'm not getting pancaked between Michael Rubin and Kyle Kuzma. All right. Ain't no way in hell. You ain't gonna catch me at no Rubin party, period, bro. That's for the James Hardens. That's for the Michael Porter Juniors. That's for the Drakes.
So you're not. So you wouldn't be taking a group photo with Michael Rubin and Meek Mill?
No, no, bro. No, I'm too trill for that. Did John Morant go? John Morant ain't there. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm excluded from that bunch because I keep it too trill, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm not flashing guns in a strip club, but at the same time, I'm not blasting Iceman either. Okay. Okay. So I would not have been to a Reuben party, but I would have been outside with $100 million. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So I would have had my own fair share of stories to tell. So by no means is this like, am I shorting on this young man? Because I get it. He's still a young dude and he got a lot of money to play and have fun. So there's no shade over here. But the thing is at the same time, bro, it's like you playing duck hunt on easy mode and you got your gun on the screen. Of course you're clapping everything that passes by. You know what I'm saying? Your difficulty's on 0. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's all I'm saying. So he's saying as though he's doing something, and it's kind of like you're not, and at the same time, you're dealing with women that are just professional.
Yes. They're for sale. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're for sale, bro. And you got the money to pay for it, and you've paid for it, and that's what that is. So there wasn't anything to navigate there. There wasn't no, I'm stringing her along. See, when you ain't got $100 million, bro, and you got to use game, and sometimes you're using the wrong kind of game, and you strung her along. She kind of believed you for a little bit, and then you broke up with her, and then you see her at the club later. She actually got beef with you. You know what I'm saying? Then you actually got to navigate that. But if you're just paying her and you stop paying her because you find another thing to start paying on, it's like, that's not really much to navigate. Because honestly, she's got other Johns that's in there too that she's got pressure with and all this other stuff. You see what I'm saying? So that's just a whole situation over there where it's not as deep as he's trying to make it sound. And that's all I was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? That's all.
Yeah. But that's how they all do, though. They all these guys all share the same women. And so because they all share the same women, they all collectively feel as though they're a part of the same struggle.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it's like it's inherently not a struggle because you guys have access to these chicks and you can afford what they charge and you pay it willingly. So practically speaking, there is no struggle, but I don't know. There's this part about them that still wants to find something real, even though even though they're all going about doing it in all of these weird ways.
Yeah.
And so because there's the juxtaposition of wanting to find something real, but going about doing it in all the wrong ways, they lament their state of affairs like this, like, oh man, I had to deal with this difficult situation. But it's like, bro, you guys are just doing this and you're sharing women. So it's nothing more and nothing less than that, man. And it's like, you know, he speaks of it being a struggle because he saw them at this thing, but they were just at work.
There you go.
So it's just like, how much of a struggle is it really? Like if you go to the grocery store and you run into a woman who's working the cashier, who's working the cash register, I mean, is it awkward? If it is, it's only awkward in your mind because for her, this is a place of work for her. She's at work.
And another transaction.
Yeah, she can't escape that. She has to ring up your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to her lane, that is, she's just at work. And when y'all run into these girls at these industry parties, y'all are just running into an employee at work.
Yep.
It's not really all that awkward unless it's just what you're conjuring up in your mind.
Exactly.
Excuse me. So all the way around, it's just I feel you. Look, I'm not really going at Michael Porter Jr. I'm going at the woe is me.
Right.
Man, I had to deal with this difficult situation. Like, no, you didn't really have anything difficult to deal with, man. You really didn't. And then on top of that, the rest of the world, really does perceive these pro athletes as being valuable. And there, there's been a conflation of money and income and value, especially in this culture. And people need to understand the difference. Like, you can have money and resources, but still be devoid of value and be devoid of merit. Like, the conflation of those two concepts, in my opinion, has caused a lot of confusion. Because I still think at the end of the day, those guys are being perceived as men of value. And in my opinion, they're anything but to their credit, I don't think they're trying to be men of value. They're just trying to live. So, it's an interesting conversation to have, but enough with like the difficult state that these guys live in on a daily basis. Like, cry me a river, or rather go and cry in your Ferrari.
Yeah, because honestly, bro, these guys can pay, and I'm not saying he doesn't have no game, so this is just universal, but you can pay for your lack of game. You know what I'm saying? You can just buy it. You know what I'm saying? And they'll jump for that. And you can be the biggest of all squares, and they don't give a damn so long as that check clear. So it's just a whole different world they're living in, man. So since it's a different world, our stories really they can't equate. So, hey, man, so best of luck to the guy. He's playing for an organization that doesn't give a damn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure this year they're going to be cheeks yet again. So, but yeah, man, enjoy that cash, man, but stay away from them Reuben parties, bro.
He's an industry guy. He's not. He's going to be at all the. Yeah, he definitely listens to Drake for sure. Yeah, and so just to speak on something that you touched on earlier, because I thought it was funny. John Moran has not been reported in connection directly with attending an all-white party, but he has attended something known as the All Black Affair, which is a party in Memphis that happens every year. It's a maskless all black affair.
Oh, okay, that sounds like an urban event.
Yeah, and John Morant apparently likes to attend these all black affairs.
Yeah, there you go, man. So the polar opposite, my boy Ja. Shout out to Ja, man.
We move on to comments made by LeVar Ball directed towards Michael Jordan. Well, not directed towards Michael Jordan, but just talking about Jordan. LeVar Ball believes that Michael Jordan was ultimately shortchanged via his partnership with Nike. He believes that given how much money Nike has made from off of Jordan brand, that Michael Jordan could have made $100 billion, but he didn't. And so he believes that Jordan was shortchanged in that whole situation. So we'll pull this up here. So this says, LeVar Ball says Michael Jordan should have made $100 billion from Nike. LeVar Ball thinks Michael Jordan made billions from sneakers and still got shortchanged. The Big Baller brand founder is questioning Jordan's legendary partnership with Nike, arguing that the basketball icon should have walked away with substantially more money from the empire built around his name. In Ball's estimation, Jordan's fortune should be measured not in single-digit billions, but somewhere around 100 billion. So let's listen to Mr. Ball explain his logic.
Everybody who's really good at something, they're going to come from a lower income neighborhood. So you give them a little bit of something, they're going to be cool with it.
Why do you think that is?
Because they don't have nothing. So you give somebody a little bit of something, they think it's a lot, but it's not nothing. I'll tell y'all something about Jordan that make your head spin. He made Nike over $1 trillion.
Yeah.
Over $1 trillion.
That's great. With a team.
And his bank account never went over 3 or 4 billion. Them numbers is raggedy.
That's crazy.
If I make anybody $1 trillion in anything, you better at least give me 100 billion.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. No, that's
makes sense.
He's making sense.
Is that
Yeah.
the professor? Is that the professor?
Yeah, man. The professor fighting, man. Yeah, man.
Oh,
Shout out to And1, man.
For real, yeah. The math behind Ball's $1 trillion claim doesn't line up with reported Jordan brand sales, but there's no debating the scale of the business Jordan helped create. According to WWD, Jordan brand has generated tens of billions in revenue since Nike signed the Chicago Bulls superstar in 1984, with annual sales recently topping $7 billion. Jordan reportedly receives approximately 5% of the brand's sales, producing estimated annual checks between $250 and $350 million. His lifetime Nike earnings have reportedly surpassed $1.5 billion, compared with roughly $94 million in salary earned during his NBA career. For LeVar, that's still not enough. It's also an argument that gets directly to the philosophy behind Big Baller brand. When Lonzo Ball entered the NBA in 2017, LeVar rejected the traditional sneaker company playbook and instead pushed a family-owned brand built around his sons. Big Baller brand's $495 Zoe 2 sneaker was mocked for its price, but Ball remained adamant that athletes should control the businesses built from their names rather than simply collect endorsement checks from established companies. Of course, LeVar talking about Jordan comes with nearly a decade of baggage. In 2017, Ball famously declared that he would kill Jordan one-on-one during their respective primes. Jordan eventually responded by pointing out that LeVar averaged just 2.2 points at Washington State. I don't think he could beat me if I was one-legged, Jordan joked. The rivalry took another turn in 2020 when Jordan's Charlotte Hornets drafted LeVar's youngest son, LaMelo Ball, with the number 3 overall pick. Jordan ultimately sold his majority stake in the Hornets in 2023, but the sneaker empire that helped make him a billionaire continues to generate enormous business for Nike. All right, so what do you make of LeVar saying Jordan should have made $100 billion?
Yeah, that's a bit I mean, if the numbers were true that they actually made $1 trillion, his logic is clean, but I don't think they've made over $1 trillion. But I get his point that he is honestly, bro, like, I mean, Nike was always tough growing up, bro. Like, they just seemed to understand. They had the right formula. And then so him signing with Nike and them doing what they did with his shoes and all the other stuff, man, like, they had the recipe. So it was the perfect storm for it to blow up the way that it did. And honestly, I just thought it was a great partnership. But looking at it and seeing that he's getting 4 to 5%, You know, that's I mean, of course you would want more, but that ain't bad, man. You know, because he's not doing anything. Yeah, they're using his, you know, his name, his logo, and all this other stuff, bro. But like, he's not doing anything. So, in any other context, I would, you know, agree with this take from LeVar. I mean, of course, you would want to have more, you know, stake in whatever your name is on, and you know, and if it was $1 trillion, at least 100 billion. But I don't think it was a you know, $1 trillion. So, you know, I think that's just LeVar just being LeVar on that one. But you know, looking at it, at least what Google's reporting, I'm sure you just read it in the article too. But you know, it just said that, you know, they've made 70 billion.
Yeah, that's what I saw too.
Yeah, so 70 billion, and so, you know, him coming away with, you know, whatever billion that he has. I don't know, man. It is what it is with that. So now when you look at the grand scheme of things, how much money he's made for everybody, it is up there, and it's past hundreds of billions of dollars. I mean, he has made big money for the NBA, for ESPN, TNT, you know, all the media stuff.
Mm.
You know, they still bring his name up every day on ESPN. He hadn't played in the last 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So he has made a lot of people a lot of money, you know. So it is definitely really up there when you look at the collective of the amount of people that made money off of this man. But he's really only had that contract with Nike. So, you know, so that is what that is. But honestly, that's not a bad gig. You know what I'm saying? Just rolling out of bed and getting 400 million a year. I would say, who the hell cares? You know what I'm saying? Personally, you know what I'm saying? I guess I came from nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I came from nothing. But hey, man, 400 million a year. If you can't make that jump, then, you know, I feel sorry for you, man. And if you're really on that page, like LeVar saying, man, like if you really want to get up there and start making, you know, tens of billions of dollars every year, man, that's a hell of a platform to get started with anyway. So I can't necessarily agree with him on this. I see where he's coming from, bro, but I'm still not mad at Jordan. I don't think he's an absolute fool for getting 5% of what that company's making. Well, what are your thoughts, man, on LeVar Ball criticizing Jordan, saying that he should have at least $100 billion for his Jordan brand? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, he's delusional. And he gave the wrong number.
Right.
As you read the correct number, it's estimated lifetime to have made between 60 and 70 billion. That is nowhere near trillions of dollars. So, you know, I guess we would have a better argument if that was actually accurate, but it's not even close to being accurate. That's not even like a tenth of $1 trillion. So, you know, he's just too far off from that. And again, bro, like if you don't own it, you don't own it. Like nobody own, like the owner of Nike is going to be like Nike itself as a corporation. And then, like, you know, what was his name? Phil Knight, the guy who founded Nike. Like, they're going to be the ones who eat off the top. They own the company. Like, unless Jordan was to divest and create his own shoe company that made his own stuff and Nike wasn't making it anymore or distributing it anymore, then we'd have a different conversation. But you can't go back to 1984 and put the genie back in that bottle. So I really don't think Jordan made out bad in this equation. I mean, you earn between $300 and $400 million annually for doing nothing. Right. Like I don't see how that's, and no one's doing that. Like, it's like you said, bro, Jordan retired to most people way back in 1998. Yeah, he came back and he played for the Wizards and retired again in 2005. But most people look at Jordan from 1984 to 1998, right? Same as the 2 years that he retired before he came back. And since 1998, no one sells more shoes sneakers wise than he does. Now, granted, it has to be the retros, but still, they just keep re-releasing these retros annually in circulation, and they sell out every time. LeBron's never going to do that, ever. No one else is going to come close to being able to do that. Nobody. I don't care who your favorite athlete is. No one's doing that. No one's retiring, and 30 years later, there's still lines out the door whenever a classic sneaker from his line comes out. Right. It's not going to happen. So he made out good with that. I don't really see an issue. That is, as far as I'm concerned, as best that's among the best you can possibly do when it comes to being paid a royalty into perpetuity. I mean, the only things that I can think of that come close to that is like Jerry Seinfeld and what he makes off of the syndication of Seinfeld. Like the royalties that Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld get from Seinfeld for the rest of their life is out of control, right? That's like off the top of my head. That's the only comp that I can think of. I'm pretty sure there's other examples, but like, unless you own it, you're just gonna make whatever residual you get, whatever piece that's afforded to you, off of the overall machine, and then the machine takes the vast majority of the cut. That's just how this stuff works when it comes to capitalism. Now, I give him credit for starting his own shoe line, but look at what it's doing. I mean, ain't nobody buying those. Who's buying those? And nobody's paying $425 to buy them either. They'll never retain a stock price like what Jordan Brand or Nike does. So it's a give and take. Yeah, you can retain complete ownership and go it your own way and therefore maintain ultimate control and do whatever you want. But are you going to be able to reap a lot of the benefits that come with the infrastructure and the potential that the behemoth that Nike is can afford? If you're willing to go your own way and make that sacrifice, I give you credit. But you can't sit there and cast aspersions on somebody like Jordan who decided to go the other route and in process of doing that, make $400 annually for the rest of his life. Because I can assure you, Jordans are not going to decline in terms of interest. Like, you know, maybe if the new Air Jordans that get released every year, it's whatever with those. But so long as he continues to release 1s and 2s and 3s and 11s and 12s and 13s and the 7s and all of that, as long as he keeps releasing those in original and classic colorways year over, those shoes aren't going anywhere. It's just not going to happen. So I don't really get where he's coming from. I think he's just being sensationalist LeVar in this situation.
Yeah, as always, he never knows when to turn it down. And yeah, I'm quick to say that, hey man, somebody got the shaft, man, but 4 to 5% revenue, bro, that's clean.
It is. Yeah,
I'm not going to sit here and say that that's a bad deal. It is what it is with that. And you know, one thing that LeVar, you know, he should really look himself in the mirror, because everything about the shoe brand, the better basketball, whatever, the ball, whatever he came up with, the 3 Bs, that was a fumble. He fumbled that. Now with Lonzo, that may not have taken off, but with LaMelo's a superstar with these young people, man. And that was a fumble. The only thing you had to do was reinvest the bag that these young boys is making. You know, just talk it out with them, whatever, because you're already coming out with I think it was a little too rushed. And, you know, the shoes came out looking like masterpiece sneakers. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, bro, what are these? They look like orthopedic shoes.
Well, no one's gonna, like, who, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. I won't speak for anybody else. But I've never been in the market for anybody's shoe before they've done anything. Like, you know, like these guys, they were doing this big baller brand with their shoes before these guys even played a game.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what has Lonzo done as a pro to make me feel like I should go buy his shoe? You know, at least with LaMelo, like you said, he's real big online and he's big with the young people and all of that. So maybe there's that cachet built up over time. But in the case of Lonzo, it was like, okay, why should I buy this? What has he done?
Exactly. It was rushed. You know what I'm saying? And even with the young people, there was hype around Alonzo, but it wasn't anywhere near the hype that LaMelo was getting. And I would have really used that money, whatever, money you've generated from the reality TV shows or the little league that you had created. Like, he did a lot of things, and he was being bold and being out there. So at no means am I taking away from that. But some of that stuff, I really felt like he jumped the gun with that. And the big thing about these kids, man, is the design and how the shoes actually look, bro. Don't just come out with a shoe, because people still got taste. They don't care how much they like you. If they don't like your shoe, they're not going to buy it. You know what I'm saying? And so, as big as a fan of I was of Iverson, bro, you couldn't tell me that his shoes were looking good. Reebok did him dirty. He had the first one, the questions, the first ones. Those things was hard. I'll still rock them today. Everything else after that has been trash. I would never wear those. You know what I'm saying? And even when I was a Wade fan, Wade's first shoe with Converse, things was hard. I'll still wear those today. But everyone after that was trash. It don't matter how much I like Wade. Sorry, bro, I'm not buying these. You know what I'm saying? So the shoes still got to look fresh, bro. At the end of the day, they don't care how much these people support you. So I can go down the list, star after star after star. As much as people love LeBron, they don't go buy shoes like that because they don't be looking tough like that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever Nike was doing with Jordan, bro, I mean, my goodness. You know what I'm saying? Especially in the mid-90s, bro. I mean, it was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they still look crazy to this day.
They do. That's what I'm saying. The fanfare right now is wild. Like, if so they're re-releasing the Space Jam 11s, I believe, this year. The last time they put those out was in 2015, and I remember because I bought them. They were $300, but they're Space Jam 11s. Like, I had to do it. But the thing is, Jordan is at, like, the Jordans, depending on which particular shoe, he can just re-release the same one years apart, and it's gonna move the same units.
Yeah, it was insane.
The same exact shoe. Like, it's not a different 11. It's literally the same shoe, the Space Jam 11. But the last time that they came out was 11 years ago, to the best of my knowledge. And so here they're coming out again, and I guarantee you they're gonna sell out.
Yeah, bro. And as much as people love Steph Curry, I mean, Under Armour did him dirty. Nobody bought those damn things. They were hideous. So you got to have this understanding coming into the game, bro. So there had to be a way for you to develop a nice looking sneaker. You know what I'm saying? There had to be. And if you had to wait on that, I would have waited on that. I felt like he jumped the gun with that and other things when it came to his branding. But I'm not taking anything away from him. But it's just saying, man, like, there was a fumble there to the point where his boys just said, F it, bro, I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? They're just leaving and they're going to do their own thing, man. So he's not the one to actually give business advice. He, for sure, he is, he has the mind, he has the mindset, he has the level of aggression to actually want to create your own and build your own. That I admire. You know what I'm saying? And I think that is where people need to be at. But, in his overzealous nature, all right, I feel like he jumped the gun with the boys in his shoes, especially with LaMelo, because them kids would have been buying those shoes if they were fresh enough.
Yeah.
And so, but it is what it is, man. So, LeVar, just being eccentric as usual, man, spewing out numbers that, are not, legitimate in this case. Now, in the grand scheme of things, can you quantify how much Jordan made? It's definitely in the trillions. I really don't feel like that's much of a stretch. Like I said, once you incorporate all these sports networks, once you incorporate the shoes and what it has done for Nike, what it has done for other, other things and stuff, like his cascading effect has made a lot of people a lot of money. So it could be reaching, stocks, this, that, like it can really get, but you can't quantify that. And that's not Nike's responsibility. So, but I hear what he's coming from, man. But if the numbers were a little bit cleaner, I would hear your point, man. But 5% of 70 billion, that ain't bad, bro.
It's not. It would have even been a sweet deal if it was 1%, let alone 5%, because it's for life. So, it's just, I don't know. I really think that he did as well as you possibly can do. I think, it only has become a conversation starter because of the overwhelming success of Jordans and the Jordan brand in totality. But if it weren't as successful and it didn't make that much and it wasn't the cultural phenomenon that it was, and he was just making a residual for the rest of his life to the tune of 5%, no one will be saying anything. But it's because of how successful that Jordan brand became to be that becomes a conversation starter. But I would say the going rate for any top tier, lifetime endorsement partnership type arrangement, the high end is going to be 5% for life. I can't imagine anything higher than that. I can't see it. So as far as I'm concerned, outside of him owning it outright all by himself, he did about as well as you could do.
I agree.
Hey, but shouts out to LeVar. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. Yeah. Shouts out to Grayson Boucher, the professor himself. Now we got Boosie, who is calling out streaming services for eating too much off the top and taking too much off of a creator's plate. Boosie had a bad experience with some movie that was releasing on Netflix that did a certain amount of streams, but he was only paid $120,000, which in his estimation wasn't nearly enough to substantiate the success of the project overall. And so now what Boosie is saying is he's just going to create his own streaming service where he is going to make what he makes, but he's also going to pay creators more than what platforms like Tubi and Netflix pay creators. So this says Boosie blasts Tubi for paying $120,000 for 26 million movie streams, launches his own platform. So I think I said Netflix, but it was Tubi, not Netflix. He had a movie that was on Tubi. According to him, it did 26 million streams, and he was paid $120,000, and so he was not happy with that particular experience. Boosie Badass is done waiting on streaming giants to cut him a fair check. The Baton Rouge rap veteran went off on Tubi this week after revealing the platform paid him just $120,000 from what he claims are nearly 26 million streams from his film My Struggle. He made the remarks during an appearance on The Spot. Boosie argued that what Tubi, Netflix, and other streaming services did to the film business is similar to what's happened in the music industry. His response is the Boosie Network, a subscription platform launching August 22nd and will carry original content, and he's encouraging people to release their movies on his platform. The flagship release is a documentary titled Legendary, which features rare Nipsey Hussle footage and is set to drop exclusively on the platform at launch. Boosie also plans to release 8 or 9 previously unseen films on the same day. He also laid out his business model for fellow independent filmmakers, offering to pay collaborators $1 per sale on $6.99 titles while keeping $5 himself. If they buy mine 1 million times, I'm going to give you $1 million check and I'll make $5. Nobody's doing what I'm going to do. I bet on myself. All right, so let's go ahead and get out of this, and we'll go ahead and hear Boosie break down his grandmaster plan for us.
On my own, I bet on myself.
Yeah,
because what Netflix and Tubi and all these people did is they did what they did to the rap game. Now they did it to the movie game too with this streaming stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I never did that. I go to boostedmovie.com and put my stuff for a price.
Right.
And count on my fans to buy my product.
Right.
On my boostedmovie.com, if I sell a movie for $19.99, I sell 100,000. I make $2 million.
Right. Right.
100,000 makes $2 million.
Sure.
When my movies all go down after 4 years, then I will switch them to Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
Tubi, I did almost 26 million streams of one film.
Really?
And got $120,000. So I checked them off. You mean to tell me if I try this myself, I make triple of what I make 100,000 and 26 million? We have been fooled.
Sure.
That's why you see all these dudes talking about, I got Tubi movies. Nigga, I got 3 movies on nigga still in the Yukon. Nigga, you in the 9A Yukon. You ain't making no money.
Right.
You ain't making nothing. Nigga, I tried your way.
9A Yukon.
I tried your way. They
Right.
done fooled us by thinking we can't do it ourselves.
Right.
So everybody gonna try to cater to what? The people who watching. You're not worrying about your family and what you gonna make. You care about the people who watch and say what I saw it on. I don't care about that. I care about them people who supported me.
Right.
So with Boosie Network, I done flipped off the BoosieMovie.com to expand it. Now I got where you can subscribe every month. I got merch. I got music. I got fishing videos. Anything. I got 8-9 movies I'm dropping on August 22nd that you never seen before.
Wow.
So I'm finna make my own.
All right, so there's Boosie laying it all out for us. Now, it wasn't a part of that particular clip, but he also did say the part about, you know, if you put your movie on my streaming platform and, you know, I'll pay you $1 for every $5 or $6 or something like that. If it moves a certain amount of units, you make $1 million and then I made $5 million. Basically saying you'll make more over here than if you go that other route with places like Netflix and Tubi. All right. So there is Boosie basically laying it out for us. What do you think about that?
You know, I don't blame him. It's the way to go. If you have a platform like Boosie has, it's worth a shot. You know, the thing is with, you know, Tubi and Netflix is that, you know, once these people are either subscribed or what have you, like they're not interested in buying nothing else. So that was the inception that's been created with streaming, is because they're paying every month. They don't feel like they should have to buy anything else, you know. So his idea and his notion of you know, charging people, you know, like this is back in the day, you know, $20 to watch a Boosie movie, bro.
Like it's Redbox or something.
Yeah, man. Like I don't know how many people gonna go there outside of, you know, your standard performer, you know, supporters. So you know, I mean, I agree with it. Like I'm not opposed to it. I hate all the streaming stuff too, you know, and I'm not even one of the people that's you know, dependent on this. Like I'm not putting my livelihood on this. Like, yeah, I'd be upset too if I saw my thing got streamed 26 million times and I got 100K out of that. Like, what is that? You know, and like a rapper nowadays, I put in all this work and all this effort. I'm doing all this promo and all this other stuff. And, you know, I got a hit song. I'm doing this. I got a viral TikTok dance and all X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? My thing getting streamed, you know, 50 million times, you know, and they cut me a check for $4,800. I'll be pissed. Yeah. The game is rigged. So yeah, I'm sure they brought that over to the movie thing. So him seeing that, this is the natural next step for him to want to do something on his own. So I stand behind it. I just don't know the people that are out here that's actually watching movies, subscribe to 3 or 4 different subscription programs and stuff like that, is going to actually pay, you know, for a movie. And I'm not saying that they're not, but you know, I know a lot of people that just got those streaming platforms to watch the free stuff. They'll look to see it for movie on there. They'll see that Netflix done, you know, pay gated it, you know, put it behind a paywall, and now you got to spend $7. Like, well, what am I paying for, you know, subscription for? And they just choose to not watch the movie. So, you know, people feel some type of way about paying for these streaming services and then turning around and paying for a movie. So if they're willing to do that, great. You know, are they going to drop the dub? Who knows? But I stand behind him in creating your own platform. He's got the platform to do it. So I'm not mad at it. And if people want to come over there and sell their movies, see, this is the thing. So he is Boosie, so he will have people who buy that $20 movie. You know what I'm saying? But if we're dealing with a you know what I'm saying, my vampire baby daddy, you know what I'm saying, got pregnant by a space alien, and you know, Quan Mills movies come to life. that generally air on Tubi with ads and stuff like that people don't care. But now they're over here and they got to pay $17 for my Vampire Baby Daddy movie. They might not do that. So just weigh it out, just have it like a, $3.99. Even then, I wouldn't pay $3.99 for Vampire Baby Daddy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. That's a ripoff. Okay. So just weigh your options, bro. But I'm all for it. I support it, bro. Just hopefully it delivers, man. But what are your thoughts, man, on Boosie having enough? 26 million streams, only 100K, decided to launch his own platform. What are your thoughts, bro?
I agree with you in that I champion Boosie wanting to retain ownership of his own platform and host his own content on something that he owns and can therefore dictate who makes what and how much he is able to make. So I'm definitely with him on that. However, when it comes to streaming services, the success of any streaming platform is having a wealth of content for people to choose from.
Right.
So if you're gonna launch your own streamer, you better have enough content for people to feel as though it's worth the value of whatever they end up, paying for it. Because it's one thing to pay $19.99 for a one-off movie on your website. It's another thing to subscribe to a streaming service and have money automatically debited out of your bank account every month because you have access to this platform. Like, people need to feel as though they're getting value for that. And the main way to translate value is to have a wealth of content available readily for people to consume. If that's not going to be something that you can maintain, then your service is going to fold up because no one's going to think that no one's going to see the value. Therefore, no one's going to spend on it. Therefore, you're not going to be making anything to pay anybody. And quite frankly, for me at least, this sounds good in theory, but if this is just going to be Boosie's version of hosting, Baton Rouge SVU or Power Louisiana, you know what I'm saying, or any of these other kinds of Afro shenanigan entertainment fanfare, but he just so happens to be the arbiter of the platform that's hosting this content, you're not going to get any cosigns from me because I don't care. That would be like 50 Cent creating G-Unit streaming. Like, yeah, in theory, it's great to see 50 Cent venture off and do that for himself, but that would be a streaming service just full of power. It's just a bunch of power shows run on repeat. It's gonna be all of the power shows. This new show that he has, that Fightland thing, which is just the boxing version of Power. If you watch it, it's the same kind of stuff, but just in the UK. And the backdrop is boxing, but other than that, it's just crime and sex and murder and crime and sex and murder. And so G-Unit streaming would just be a bunch of that. And I don't want to see that. I don't give a damn about watching that. So even though I like in theory what Boosie is going to try to do, hopefully he has a wealth of content so that people can see the value of it and patronize his product. And hopefully it's not this one note homogenized destination of Negro foolishness, because I don't want to see that either. But at the end of the day, I wish him well and I hope it works out, because I listen, I don't subscribe to any of this stuff. I boycott it. I think it's all a racket. I find streaming to be one of the biggest criminal enterprises in Western society. It was supposed to be valuable because it was a cheaper alternative to cable, but everybody is segmented off and created their own thing that they charge for. And so by the time you're paying for all of the services that you need in order to see all the things that you want to see, you end up paying more than a cable bill. Right. So I don't understand what the point of all this was, other than to just be a racket siphoning the lifeblood out of people's pockets. So I am vehemently opposed to streaming. I personally have an alternative that gives me access to all this stuff without me having to pay for streaming. But if I no longer had access to that alternative, I just have to eat it because I'm not paying for any of this crap. I refuse. I don't see the value in any of it. So hopefully Boosie is able to create an ecosystem where people will see the value in it.
Yeah, well, and I feel like this is him launching that. This is free pub for him. He can't really launch a commercial, but he can go on Ricky Smiley podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, and let the internet know that, hey, y'all, I'm making my own Tubi. You know what I'm saying? So y'all come over here, mess with me, and sell your movies, and I'll give y'all more than what's Tubi giving you. They gave me, 100,000 for 26 million. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to get to y'all is y'all movies that streaming that only got 100,000 streams, y'all only getting this much. You know what I'm saying? But if y'all turn that 100,000 streams, but y'all actually sold 50,000 units, you know what I'm saying? You're going to make more off those 50,000 units sold. And it's like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I hear what you're saying. So him throwing this out there and casting his net and letting all these, because there's a lot of black people making movies and releasing them on Tubi, and they're completely, you know what I'm saying? I haven't seen one yet that's just not absolutely ridiculous. Every time I see something on TikTok, bro, they're just absolutely ridiculous. Just wild stuff, man. But it's black people getting out there and making movies, and I'm happy about that to an extent. We gotta clean it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm proud of us for getting out there and making our own movies. Like, at least we're doing that. You know what I'm saying? But so the next stage of that is to, hey man, maybe we can actually get some people that's selling their stuff and instead of getting these small streaming checks, because it's just a finesse. You know what I'm saying? And the black creators are what make Tubi to begin with. So if they migrate to another platform where they can actually get a check and stuff like that, cool. But it has to make sense, bro. Like, he coming at this, at least the way that he delivered it to us. Like, he came, like we all at the flea market, and he came up with a good idea. That's how he's pitching this right now. It's like, bro, this has got to be a real thing. You're gonna have to have back end bandwidth. You're gonna have a lot of stuff going on if people gonna be plugging this into their TV and getting stuff streamed to them. Like, it's got to be a whole infrastructure situation going on. It's not just my website. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully he's got an actual thing going on. We also covered a thing where Cat Williams was supposed to be starting his own thing. Haven't heard much about that. It wasn't a streaming platform, but he was supposed to be starting his own little movie situation or whatever.
Yeah. He said he had bought land off an old military base, I think in Alabama.
Yeah, something like that.
Where he's supposed to be building a movie studio. But yeah, I haven't heard much since.
It was in one of those sundown states. I don't know if it was Mississippi or Alabama, man. Yeah. But I was like, okay, at least you're doing it.
50 Cent is in Mississippi, I think. Shreveport, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. Okay, yeah. Okay, interesting. And so, but yeah, man. So, they got all that stuff going on. So I hope these things actually, grow wings and become things, and black creators can actually get paid, man. Because the streaming is an absolute finesse. I'm with Boosie 1000%. So any way to circumvent that and get actual money into these creators' pockets, I'm down for it, man. So hopefully this isn't some pie in the sky, I got a good idea and just chopping it up with my boys type of thing. Hopefully this is something that I can actually put food in people's mouths and see people grow, man. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a hard sell for some of these movies that they got on Tubi. So, because some people just watch them ironically to laugh. You know what I'm saying? It just pass the time. It's on in the background, and they look at some wild acting, wild plots, and all that other stuff. Will people pay $17, $15 for that per movie? I don't know, man. So there has to be some way to make this make sense for the viewers. So hopefully he's got that figured out.
Well, again, he's saying he's creating his own streaming platform. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. Like, people aren't going to be paying $19.99 for a movie. They're going to be subscribing to that monthly. So I don't know how much he's charging for that. Right. But let's say you pay in $4.99 a month for access to Boosie's streaming platform. Like, people are going to stop paying even that if after 4 or 5 months they're looking around and they're like, where is like, we need more content, or we need more content that's good, or we just, you need to be servicing those streaming platforms with a lot of content on the regular. Like, in order to be able to maintain that, you got to keep feeding it content constantly. Yep. And that's easier said than done. So, like, that's the thing. Like, unless he he could be thinking in his mind, he's just going to corner the market on Tubi. And so the volume of content that gets uploaded to Tubi now becomes the same volume of content that gets uploaded to his thing.
Right.
And theoretically, if that is true, then it could work. But again, bro, that's only in theory. Like, the success of any streaming platform is having a lot of content available day one. And then even after day one, you got to keep feeding it steadily, constantly. And even then, if there's a level of content where the quality is perceived to not be so great, over time, people are going to divest from that too. So you just got to be prepared for that. It's a whole business model. And it's bigger than just saying, I'm going to do this and pay y'all more. Like, the volume of content has to be there, man. So he has his work cut out for him. But like you, I do, in theory, like the idea, because I'm a champion of increased ownership, and I'm a champion of artists getting a bigger cut, of course. Mm-hmm. So I like all of those things, but you got to pull it off right in order for it to work.
Yeah, man. So shout out to Boosie, man. Make it happen, bro. And until then, I'm not gonna watch my vampire baby daddy. Not doing it. I'm not paying for that, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, I misspoke too. So yeah, G Unit Film and TV is. So I got the city right, Shreveport, but Shreveport is in Louisiana, not Mississippi.
Oh, okay.
So I got that wrong. Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
I mean that's still a interesting location, but it ain't Mississippi, bro.
It was a tax thing, if I recall. He set up shop in Louisiana because of tax incentives and all of this other kind of stuff. Yeah.
Finesse. All right.
But yeah, I gotta look up where Cats is supposed to be. But yeah, G Unit Film and TV is in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Right on. Boosie area. So shout out to all of them.
Yeah, yeah. Last but not least, we touch on hip hop artist Phoenix Flexin, who originally was combating claims that his song "Rubbers," which apparently is doing numbers, it popped up on Billboard recently. So upon hearing it, a lot of fans were speculating that the song was made using AI, a claim that Phoenix Flexin was vehemently disagreeing with, saying, no, I did this the old school way. But now he's done an about face and he's admitting that AI was indeed used to make Rubbers. So this says Phoenix Flexin does U-turn, says he did use AI to make viral hit Rubbers. Phoenix Flexin has admitted that he used AI software for his viral synth pop hit Rubbers after months of pushing back on accusations about it. In a comment shared on Instagram, which can be seen below, Phoenix responded to a fan who said the rapper should admit to using AI after Tyga admitted he used the technology on his latest album, Starface. Never said I didn't use AI. I said it had nothing to do with the recording process. I didn't even know what the app was till we mixed it and everybody started commenting. Ain't nothing wrong with using new technology as a tool. Keep up with the times or get left behind. There's been speculation that the track used generative AI ever since it was released in June. The Shoreline Mafia members' apparent pivot to 80s inflected synth pop with a British accent immediately led audiences to suspect that the song was AI generated. According to Stereo Gum, Phoenix initially denied the accusations in a comment on an Instagram post shared by On the Radar. No, sir, recorded same as all music I do, he wrote in a reply to a comment that accused the song of being AI generated. Only difference is auto-tune, reverb, and me using my fake UK accent, LOL. He also denied the accusations in an interview with Andrew Callaghan for Channel 5. Perps on the Beat, who is credited as the producer behind the track, also denied the accusations. Stereo Gum reported last month that producer Madassin shared a breakdown that alleged the song was fully generated using the AI software Treblo. Treblo has since released a tool that allows people to upload tracks to detect whether they were made using the AI software, and uploading an MP3 of Rubbers indicates that it was in fact made with Treblo. Let's see. The company claimed that the tool has a false positive rate below 1 in 10,000. Speaking to Marcus Lawrence, the company's co-founder Ryan Tremblay added, "Someone appears to have used our model to find a sound that millions of people connected with, and that's exciting." Despite its AI origins, Rubbers has received a lot of success, peaking at number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100, making it the first fully AI-generated track to appear on the chart. So, what do you think about Phoenix Flexen doing an about face after initially saying he did not use AI, coming out and admitting he indeed used AI to create his Rubber song?
Yeah, I don't know who he thought he was fooling. The streets, it started off with speculation, then him denying it, but then of course the internet is going to do their digging and they're going to do their investigation. There's AI models that can tell if something was made with an AI, so people are running it through that and coming out with conclusions that not only was it made with AI, that the AI is telling you what program they used to do it. So now there's a conversation. Now you're getting exposed. So of course, naturally, PR department, I guess the best way of going about this is saying, okay, you guys got us, go out there and just admit, throw some LOLs at the end of it, and say that, yeah, you use AI in the process. Okay, but it's not and that's the thing. There's plausible deniability here. All right, you know what I'm saying? Of course, no, you didn't use AI to make the entire song, but you use AI for the song. So they probably didn't generate the lyrics. You probably has a writing process. You probably did the singing, but you plugged your actual audio into an AI thing that did all the other stuff. So back in the day, man, there were pop singers that you can just look at them and tell they can't sing. You could tell they cannot sing. Whenever they do a live appearance on MTV or TRL, New Year's Eve, there's always lip syncing involved. You know what I'm saying? He's like, that girl can't sing for real. You know what I'm saying? And come to find out, of course, they've had versions of auto tunes before we actually got the T-Pain version. Like in the studios, they was whipping up masterpieces out of these trash people voice, or having somebody completely Milli Vanilli it and sing it in form.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we already knew that, these labels would do anything to make a hit or take somebody and, make them hit. This guy looks like, what's that? Allergy. He looks just like this guy. Who is this man? So I just Googled him just now because, first of all, the song was all over TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Just all over TikTok. And it's got a little catchy thing, but it's only catchy if you keep hearing it. So TikTok, if you got a TikTok sound, somebody paid for that. It ain't going viral because the people actually want that. So let's throw that out there. All right. So it's all over TikTok. It's being played, whatever. But yeah, Atlantic Records and Empire is funding this guy. Who the hell is this guy? You know what I'm saying? He's, so how did they find him? What is his real artistic skill? I mean, look at him, he's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? And so this is another industry plant situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we covered what was the name of that AI rapper that they tried to play us with?
FN Mecca.
FN Mecca. Lord Jesus. FN Mecca. So they tried to play us a couple years ago, man. And the streets were not going for it. And I told you then, that was like a beta test, man. They were really trying to test the waters to see if people actually buy this. They weren't. People really rejected that at every turn. So that thing was like, okay, well, we could still use AI and just throw out any guy. And they just threw out this clown. I mean, he's literally a clown.
Yeah.
So they just threw this guy out there. They got in the studio, whipped up something real catchy in AI. All right. Got perps on the beat. And just, whoopty whoopty whoop. And so there you go. So this is an Atlantic Records Frankenstein thing that they just wanted to make a hit out of, and it caught fire. Mm-hmm. So I think they went about it the wrong way by not admitting it was AI. I forget if they came out on the front end and admitted that it was AI from the jump. Yeah, but we just used it in our process. It's not actually, instead of trying to deny it like you're some real artist. You know what I'm saying? last thing I say before I let you go is that he did some type of freestyle situation, or he tried to come out with something else. Completely horrendous audio. I mean, the guy sounded like he never rapped before in his life. And so everybody in the comment section was like, yep, that song was AI. Yeah, there's no way that this is the same dude. And it's not. You know what I'm saying? So then, of course, now we get this article about a week later that, yeah, I used AI in my so of course, bro. Like, and now that we see that the, Atlantic Records and Empire are funding this, yeah, man, this was definitely an industry plant situation, and they wanted to make something out of this. But he's just another test case. Trust me. One of these times they're going to really strike gold. It's going to be the right looking person, the right looking everything, the right thing, and people won't be able to tell or won't care that it was AI and all that other stuff. But what are your thoughts, man, on this Phoenix flexing character finally admitting that, yes, my hit song Rubbers was actually AI generated? What are your thoughts, bro?
No surprise. Honestly, I wish that some of these other cartoon rappers would just come out and admit what machine is, being put behind them in order to prop them up. Like, what form of AI is being used to make Ice Spice? Because that's not, I don't give a damn what anybody says. That's not a real artist. I barely even believe that she's a real human being, let alone.
Yeah, I'm really debating that, bro.
let alone a real artist. At least the shroud of secrecy has been lifted over this guy, right? But there's countless others of these artists running around, not just in hip hop, in all genres, to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure there are countless other artists. These are non-playable characters, NPCs, as you like to call them, avatars, just non-human entities making music that have some sort of artificial, technological pump and dump resource behind them that's used to prop them up and make them whatever they are, and the masses buy it hook, line, and sinker. So no surprise, honestly. And you have people in the music industry like Tyga who are defending this stuff, by saying things like you have to adapt with the times or get left behind. Auto-tune was the same thing. And look, man, I agree with the idea that you do have to adapt or get left behind. Principally, I agree with that. But I don't agree with the comp of auto-tune. Auto-tune did not pose an existential threat to art or artistry in any capacity. Auto-tune was indeed a tool. And it was just a thing. You either use it in your sound or you don't, but it didn't make or break you. It was actually a tool. See, auto-tune is an instance in which you can use the word tool to describe something. That is a far cry from what AI is, which AI to me is beyond a tool. AI is like this thing that can be used in place of actual human ingenuity. And that to me takes on a different tone than a mere tool like auto-tune. Like a screwdriver is a tool, but having like a robot that can screw stuff in without you having to do it is a different beast altogether, because now I don't need a human to come to my house and fix something. I can just have the robot do it. So calling the robot a tool, to me, is a misrepresentation of what it actually represents. The screwdriver is the tool. The robot is something different entirely. And so when you talk about music, auto-tune is a tool, AI is something different entirely. And so I think there's a conflation taking place for anybody who tries to draw a comparison between auto-tune and what AI represents when it comes to the music industry. But overall, this to me is a drop in the bucket. And he's just the easiest example of this to point out, because he is so far left as a non-playable character, as an NPC, that you can just smell the AI all over him. But there are so many of these other artists who are on a similar pathway, but it's trickier to detect because they look less robotic. They look less fake. They look less avatar-like than he does. I'm already out. I was talking to my cousin about this the other day. Music, to me, as far as I'm concerned, is all but dead. I feel very similar to the way that you feel about like the NBA, where you say like bro, I'm done. Like, I'll place a bet here and there. But as far as I'm concerned, the NBA with me is persona non grata. That's how I feel about music. Music to me is dead. I can't tell you when's the last time that I was genuinely excited about a music project. It happens like maybe once a year if I'm lucky, where something will come out and I'm like actually anticipating it, and then go to listen to it and I don't get let down or disappointed. Music is dead. It's dead. It's dead. So since it's a rotting carcass on the side of the road, you might as well just use AI to figure out whether you can invigorate it. But I doubt it, because you can't infuse something with a soul if it's already dead. And I don't know. I mean, music is dead to me. It's just, you know, I listen to way more sports talk radio on my headphones than I do music nowadays. Like, it's not even close, because this music stuff is just, it's a rotting, smelly, panther poodle carcass on the side of the street. It just is. It just is, man. So, yeah, like it's just a smelly, rotting carcass. It really is. And so while it's in this depressed state, who cares what AI does or does not do? It is what it is.
Yeah, man. You know, and we've covered these topics before, dealing with AI and music, specifically with Timbaland and you know, the levels of inception he was trying to create. Listen, man. And in these AI conversations that we've been having, I've been saying the same thing that Sir Tiger has said. You know, it's somewhere down the line, you know, there's some rye to get rolled on here.
Yeah.
So I have been working with AI tools. Okay, I have. I ain't gonna say it. Oh yeah, hey man, I have. I ain't gonna say here lie. All right, so I've worked with AI tools, man, because it's what's going on right now, man. And you know, it's not any FOMO thing. It's like, hey, bro, this stuff is going on, whether I like it or not, kind of situation. And I'm really not trying to be left behind. You know what I'm saying? And if somehow, some way this stuff drops, trust me, I can drop it like a bad habit too. You know what I'm saying? Like, this isn't everything to me, but it's what's going on. And if the money making and the security in my future and all of this stuff is resting on me knowing how to navigate this space, I'm going to know how to navigate that space. Sorry, but not sorry. You know what I'm saying? So one of the things that I was messing with, I ain't gonna sit here and lie to y'all. So I was messing with Sunos. I ain't gonna sit here and lie to y'all. And I like the songs I make. I like my songs. The music industry trash. I like my stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm in there bumping my things that I made. You know what I'm saying? But here's the one thing. So I got into this space of like isolating the audio, because I'm trying to splice stuff together. Hey, I like this version of this and that version of that, and I'm trying to splice it together. So this is what I've gathered from like just stripping stuff away. It's hollow. You can hear it. It's like a mono thing. Even though there's like layers when you listen to it, it's like hollow. So it's like it's genuinely artificial. So like when you hear it and it's like, so when it's all together, it sounds like coherency. But if you just strip out this part, I should only be able to hear the audio. I should only be able to hear my voice going up and down. But it's also blend in with the drums and other things. And so it's like I'm talking backwards. So it's not a clean strip of audio, if what I'm saying is making sense. So it's like soulless. So the problem that I have with it while I'm sitting here playing with it, that the song sounds good, but I'm like, yeah, but it's like eating bioengineered meat. It's like eating lab grown meat. Does it sizzle the same? Can you season it and it you cut it and it bleeds? Yeah, but it was made by a 3D printer. And what is it doing to me internally? That's my issue. That's my issue right now with AI, is that the soullessness of it, is that there's no, hey man, if I isolated Whitney Houston's voice, I can hear Whitney Houston. But if I do a AI thing that's belting out songs and it sounds good, but I isolate that voice, it's going, and it's weird. It's weird, man.
I don't think anybody cares though.
But that's what I'm saying. And that's this, you know what I'm saying? This is my warning. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm Neo in the Matrix, or I'm somebody like that works at Skynet. And this is my warning to the masses. So yeah, the song, because I'm all about just creating a vibe, and that's when I'm making my song. I just want something to vibe to. So It's all good. But at the same time, man, it's like, yeah, but what is this? You know, so it's a weird situation, man. Overall, I'm with you. I don't care for this stuff. I don't, you know, but there's also an element of me, unfortunately, that's also in survival mode. It's like, hey, man, come 2035, I want to be secure. You know what I'm saying? Right now they got boo-boo lettuce being sold at grocery stores. All right. They got flesh-eating bacteria over here. They got this stuff going on. I need to be able to make sure that me and mine are safe 10 years from now. So, and if this is where things are going, you know, I'm gonna just learn it. And again, if a revolution happened next year, you know what I'm saying, and then all AI gets magically dropped and they scorch the sky like they did in the Matrix, trust me, I ain't gonna lose no sleep that I don't have an AI agent anymore. But until that day happens,
yeah,
I'm gonna have an AI agent doing work while I'm asleep. You know what I'm saying? But so I just had to throw that in there because I ain't want to seem like no hypocrite on here nowadays. Because I keep telling y'all there is an element of this that's right to get rolled on. You know what I'm saying? But the caveat of all of that is there is an element of soullessness to it. So when you bring it to the music platform where you actually want to hear something that moves you, AI does not have that capability. So yeah, man. So it is what it is with this stuff, man. All I say is just be cautious and don't fall in love too much with this AI songs.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, sadly, I don't think the soulless nature of any, you know, of any production of AI is going to matter really, because I think the masses are being trained to lower like I think I mentioned this before. I think standards across the board in every respect are being lowered. So I think people are being trained to maintain lower expectations for everything, lower expectations for the quality of food we eat, lower expectations for wait times for service, lower expectations for delivery times for things, lower expectations for call waiting times, I think across the board, low expectation for quality of movies, film, TV, music. I think music is just in a bad state right now, personally. Well, let me be fair. The music that I listen to, so I'm not as familiar with all genres, admittedly, but the music that I've listened to for my entire life, I think that at this point there is an objective degradation in quality.
It's trash.
I just do. I just do. I believe that. I think all of this stuff is trash mostly. But I think that we are being trained to expect low standards. Like, I think the human experience in 2026 and beyond over time is subconsciously coming to expect a new level of standard for everything, and that new level of standard being lower than what it previously was. And so when it comes to things like the soulless nature of an AI derivative, I don't think it's going to matter much because people are just going to come to expect the soullessness. So like it's going to be a situation where people are like, oh, this is what it is. And there's not going to be an adverse reaction to it because we've just come to expect it, because we're just being trained to expect low quality of stuff. So I just don't even really think it's going to matter at the end of the day.
It's not. It's not, bro. That's the sad truth, bro. And that's what I said. And while all of this stuff going on in 2035, if people don't care, well, I'm going to have something out there that's generating me money to do that. I'm sorry to say that. I'm not going to sit here with moral integrity about the music game, and I'm actually no, bro. You can miss me with that, bro. Because why there's a recall on X, Y, or Z, I'm somewhere off the grid because I can afford to live that way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it is what it is, bro. Like y'all gotta save you and yours right now because they ain't hiring like they used to. So y'all gotta make sure y'all protecting yourself, man. So
Bro.
It's a wild world, man. But if there's gonna be bots and drones out there that's consuming this stuff, bro, you gotta supply that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it that way, but you gotta do it. Sorry.
Yeah. Bro, we are living in the height of the era of the expendable human. I don't think we have ever lived in a period. I don't think we've ever lived in a point in time in the history of human civilization in which humans were more expendable than they are now.
They say there's nothing new under the sun. I don't think so, man. I think this is the first time this stuff has been going on, bro. You know what I'm saying? Point to me data centers in human history, bro, and I'll go, oh, you got a point there. Nah, man, I don't want nothing equivalent to. Nah, this has not happened. So we're witnessing a lot of firsts for the first time in human history, bro. Transgender basketball players, give me a break. Give me a break, bro.
Hey, you preaching to the choir on that one. I agree, man. I think that we are in the midst of a nexus event in human history. And these things come along every thousands of years or so, and they genuinely do reflect something completely new and novel that we had never experienced before that point. And I think that we are living in one of those periods of time that I would call a nexus event, an inflection point where it's like, no, this isn't another one of those typical points in human history where it's like, oh, we're just afraid of what's coming that's new. No, this is different. This is a legit nexus event where we are in the midst of something truly new that we have never experienced before. This ain't your typical railroad or cotton gin, or you know what I'm saying? Like this ain't that. Yeah, this ain't that. This is something completely different.
Wow.
But yeah, on that note, we are done, folks. So as always, man, check us out on Instagram and TikTok at ConApproach, ConApproach, and you can check us out on Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Download the podcast. Check us out wherever you like to listen to your audio podcast. Much is appreciated over on that side. And as always, man, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for interacting with the content, for leaving comments, letting us know what you think about the commentary in any of our pieces of content. Check out the rest of the content in the content library as we continue to crank things out. You can locate me on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. And as I always like to say, people, don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. And until next time, I hope everyone has a fantastic week and a fantastic rest of the summer as things continue to quiet down and we inch closer and closer to the peak of gambling season when football comes back.
Hey, man, and the name is Dogon SS, by the way. Skr. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, FanDuel, Twitter, X, Meta. Hey, man, this is a social media platform. Dogon_SS is also out there. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow, and all that good jazz. And JV Wins already said it, man. So we greatly appreciate y'all for watching these videos, man, because we got a whole archive, man. I know it's a lot of us out here that's been dedicated, all right, and watching our videos, all right, and consciously leaving those comments and sharing this content, because, hey, man, you can't just keep this to yourself. So we greatly appreciate y'all out there in TV land, all right? And as I say every week, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, I got as many rings as Enes Kanter. We'll catch y'all on the next episode. Chill.
Enes Kanter gonna have you beat when he win that WNBA championship.
Hey, man, hey, rightfully so. I couldn't lose to a better brave woman. So. Out to him, man.
Later, we out.
Go Curs.